Hello guys and welcome to TFT Rolls Grand Finals, Day 3, Game number 4. Enjoy.
Ones for those melees that we're talking about. You get Grim Harvest, you get Keepers. Those are the two big things to look for.
It's good for Luxiana as well. Opens up some decent power there.
What is nice, though, about being able to potentially have Golden Gala here is that you know that all of those augments are going to be pretty powerful, and there are 4 players right now that are in striking distance of being able to hit check, put the lobby into that position. So I feel like it gives you some really nice flexibility when it comes down to what you can actually play to guarantee that top 4.
100%. I mean, 3 of the players only need a 7th or better. It's really, you know, the don't go 8th is a very scary curse.
Don't say
but
that.
It does mean that we'll at least have some players make it to check on this game.
Yep. The thing about Golden Gala is you can get those trait-specific combat boost augments here. So if you commit early and 3-2 rolls around, you already have the emblem. It's a very nice spot for you. And Dish Soap might be going into the Faded line. This is kind of an interesting thing. One of the top things about our finalist players is they actually performed very, very well on Faded. Faded was 3.5 AVP on day 2.
Well, even we heard from Double 61 that he actually ended up playing a game of Faded that he didn't think he would actually play, but found the right spot for it.
Yeah, I think he was able to go first in that one, or at least it was a very high placement. And one of the big parameters of finding that for the early game is finding that Thresh, and I think it's a really good way to have a lot of power, get the win streak, and get a lot of resources in the early stages of the game.
You do need to start stacking that Dryad early. So what we've seen is Rek'Sai, the best one cost. If you have that 2-star, Faded line might be an option for you, and Kindred 2, of course, the better option. If you get it, Faded is still a good line.
Double has an opportunity here to get a Malphite 2 already. Has a Kha'Zix in the shop as well. But with this Kiana, at least you know you have the opportunity to buy that out, get that 2-star, and then even buy this Kha'Zix if you end up getting drop some gold.
Just seeing if he can sell up to 10 or not, but instead it's just going to be buy out of the shop. Go for the early Heavenlies. The Malphite upgrade is nice. Kiana is nice. Kind of play that early, and we'll see these augment selections as Double is offered Fortune, which we'll see. He didn't exactly have the best spot to take the crest, but we could see.
Li Tuchuan has Storied Champion as an option.
We saw it kind of hit and miss, right? I think it went first and it went 8th in 2 separate games.
It's so consistent, though. I feel like it's a very hard to pass up there, and, you know, he rolled the Fortune. He didn't have any Fortune unit, so he moved away from it on Double 61. But this is what Double 61 and Canvas, the cousins, are known for, playing for high cap. But we're not going to see it for this time. He doesn't really need that high of a cap to check.
Well, speaking of high cap, though, do you remember the last time Dish Soap ended up getting Epoch?
Oh,
ended up having
He's
that
great at playing it.
3-star sniper in the back line of Felios. That one, thank you. I was like, wait, it wasn't an Ashe. We've seen some 3-star forecasts not do very well, but yeah, the Aphelios was great.
Yeah, Epoch into Ashe. Usually we thought, oh, that's definitely just going to be Lilia, but he ends up playing in the sniper line. I thought it was a really cool game from Dish Soap when he needed it most, right? That was his qualifying game, trying to go late. Here, he just needs to make it 7th or better, but I think Epoch is a good way to have a very solid board, and even if you don't hit super hard, you'll have kind of a middling composition.
And we have to remember, the players at the top, they just need to check. Extra points beyond check doesn't give you anything. So you just want to make sure you have a composition that is very stable and steady, most likely uncontested. For the players underneath, though, they will be going for riskier comps. They need the points to enter the 20 check mark.
Bintim actually picks Call to Adventure. That's really interesting, because we actually ended up seeing that on the other side, and I was wondering, I was like, whoa, Bintim, one of those players that really needs to start turning things around. Storyweaver could very well be one of the ways to do it.
Yeah, it's a great way to do it, and seeing a couple other commits throughout the lobby. We just saw Lei Tuchuan being on the Ghostly, the Haunted House, so that's an early commit to a Ghostly line, whether that's going to be Senna reroll or if it's going to be Zoe, Zyro, which we've seen a lot more of. That could be that, or we also have Double committing onto the Enter the Dragon and potentially playing around the Janna.
I really like what Double did there. He saw his items was a Nasher and instantly sold the tank line on the left to pick up the Ahri pair, have something to play around, also saving some gold right there. Really nice early stage 1 plays.
Yeah, and actually has the Exalted in as well, so even if he's going to be losing a couple of combats here with a weak board, can start to figure out ways to spike it later with that accumulated XP.
So a couple interesting boards here. One is the Haunted House. You don't usually want to pick this on 2-1. It only comes into effect when you have 4 Ghostly. So usually when people pick this, it's from a strong win streak position. Li Tuchuan going to try his luck anyway. And on the other hand, Bintum going for the Story Weaver line I think is very interesting because, as we all know, Call to Avenger can be very risky. If you do not hit the Story Weaver emblem later on, you can be stuck rolling a long time for Aurelia on level 8.
Yeah, another cool just call out. We have Too Much Candy duelist setup for Ning Lee. This is one of the ways that we saw a lot of North American players and in the Americas playing for it. Sox in particular was one who was playing it quite a bit. And so it's another way when you don't get keepers, you see Too Much Candy, it's still a way to get into the line.
Absolutely. Worked out really well for Sox too. Ended up playing, I think, to like a first or second place with that augment. So we'll have to see if it ends up working out for them. But Dr. O on the other side, another player that's really hoping to actually be able to try to get some more points in this lobby. I know he's just kind of like looking at how that combat was going, but as we enter into the next carousel, maybe there's some opportunities here.
Support items.
There's so many support items.
Hey, Clement, I heard you liked variants.
Not really. If you see these support items, it means that someone might be going into the Reaper Duelist lines a little bit more, and we already have a Too Much Candy. So for Ning Lee, I think this is a huge one. If he can get, I would say the Knight's Vow here is probably the best.
Locket's good.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't see that one.
They're both good options, but yeah, Locket probably going to be the best one.
A lot better.
Yeah,
you're right.
Disho picks up the Obsidian Cleaver, so that's a fun one. I like the Knight's Vow, though. I feel like that's one of my new favorite artifacts.
Yeah, you just get some like 200 HP,
vamp.
some
I like
vamp.
All right, on board with Bintum. You see, he got the Randuins, which is pretty nice for the Story Weaver's composition. It's relatively easy to kind of stack up that composition and get that on everything, especially because you have a bunch of units that are not particularly tanky on their own, but by giving that Randuins all around, it's kind of a, all as one to make that tank line.
Yeah, we just saw Asta do this.
Put it on the correct unit as well. So the thing about Sivir is that she gives attack speed to all adjacent units, not only on that row. So you can put them bunched up like this. And what we saw actually in the Golden Spatula in APAC is Bintum actually likes this line with keepers as well. A very strong grouping that can win streak.
Well, it's huge to be able to pick up the Randuins if he finds that, because just how that compounds together is just an immense tank line.
Slamming coming in from Dr. O. It looks like he's going to be contested once again, just not having a very good run of things.
Yeah.
Reaper line might be open, so we'll see if he goes there instead.
Yeah, Reaper definitely going to be open, and he does have slams that can lean towards Reaper, and we'll see if that stays open, as frequently we have been seeing players kind of pivot into it, even though it's generally something we see people kind of commit from the start. And maybe all these kind of tailored augments is not going to make it as easy as we got Dish Soap on the win streak.
Yep, on the win streak, and what was really unique about that is there's actually not faded in it at the moment. He's just still going to be sticking to Epoch, but remember when we were taking a look at like the Thresh that was sitting on the bench, not faded right now, is going to be more of a Story Weaver and Arcanist angle.
Yeah, Selzit tries to play a little bit of a cheaper board, not playing as many 3 costs on it. He does still have the Zoe though, so it's a little bit more expensive, but 24 gold, full win streak, goes into Lei Chan, which I think is going to be an easy win for Dish Soap here with this Ahri. Ahri's such a good early game carry. Though, Ghostly can be a little bit scary. There's a lot of stacks. It's just not quite enough.
Still only a couple Ghostly, though.
No set is found for Li Tutran's board. I'm really doubting this type of strategy. When you play this type of reroll, you either want to accumulate a lot of gold in stage 2 or you want a strong win streak. He has neither, so could be pretty dicey. Double, meanwhile, with the Into the Dragon, actually finds the Lee Sin.
Yeah, Li Sao also able to do the full loss streak as well as double. They're both on 5 loss going into this. Dr. O actually was able to do a win streak. I think he may have lost to Dish Soap in the first round and then 4 win streak after that.
Yeah, but Double also has 50 gold to work with. So after Krug going into like that 3rd stage, I would love to see how he's able to upgrade this board.
Yeah, finding the Lee Sin early to go with the
So
Dragon, as you were saying, is just incredibly good. It's a nice pivot point, right? Because he's going to level up, potentially roll down a bit for the reroll composition, and he's already got some powerful units on the board.
A lot of people think that Lee Sin is this bruiser melee fighter, but he's actually great as a tank unit. He has great disruption, he has great utility in terms of just stopping the frontline tanks from casting. And, if you look at his resistance, is extremely, extremely high. So I think Double is going to lose a couple more rounds, but later on, see a second augment and start rolling.
You did get the Diana. Yeah,
Diana
re-leveling now, but Diana for the 3 Dragon Lord.
Solid just to get more value out of the augment, especially once this level up comes through and he tries to roll down to upgrade the composition. Looks like it's one more loss here, and then we'll see if he decides to kind of roll on 6 for a while and play around the reroll Janna, or if he tries to push to 7 to reroll for the 3 costs a little bit more. So Asta on the other side. Another player who's knocking at the door of Check. just needs a, I believe, 6th or better, whereas the other 3 just need a 7th.
He is the best for APAC right now, but I have to say this support item not looking so hot as he gets the big gem. Typically, you want a lose streak when you see a 2-4 encounter carousel coming up. And Jisop loses his streak to Dr. O here. Those were the 2 streaking players. Dr. O going to find the better of Dish.
Here we go. Second augment. Those are some easy lock-in choices for a couple of our players. Asta actually picks up the Umbral Crest, double 61 with the Combat Caster. And Bintum, after picking up that Randuin's Omen, gets Keepers.
Oh, he found it!
Ooh,
I caught a
called
big
it.
hit. That's massive. So Dr. O ends up taking Combat Caster. You know, the most picked gold augment of the tournament is incredibly strong. So Dr. O on that win streak gonna find even more power for himself, and Combat Caster for double as well. He hits the Ornn 2 on level 6.
way.
This isn't good enough. Look at him shaking his head. He rolled down to below 10 gold and only has 1 Janna. He's locked into this line. I'm not even sure the Ornn 2 is enough to stabilize him.
Is there a world that you start to pivot out? Your Combat Caster, you just don't play around into the dragon for the rest of the game and you try and push?
I think when you've rolled so much gold, you have to roll to get yourself out. He's also playing lose streak, so he doesn't have the HP to go on further. It's just a very unfortunate spot here. And, you know, there is a world where we go into the 4th game and double still has not checked.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, right? He's down to 10 gold. He was able to sell a little bit, so he's not fully down to 0 for this econ, but double just has to avoid 8th place, and a full miss on the roll down is terrifying.
You guys actually cursed him at the top of the game where you're like,
Hey,
just
sorry,
play
Panda.
for-
Hey,
play
sorry,
for
Panda. Sorry, Makes.
7.
Yeah.
I
So
do like
sad.
that he's holding on to Exalted here. He knows that he probably has to scrounge something together and just move on. I don't think he has a chance to really pivot out with the spot he's given. And Ningli, great find here. It's basically perfect. We've talked about how you want to play the duelist line. It's actually all about the defensive stats. So you have the time to get those extra attack speed from the trait itself.
Yeah, but you have the locket next to the unified resistance.
Yeah, that's massive.
Yeah, I just saw
Big
him have
combo.
a death cap, and then I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, the
Maybe
death
not
cap's a
doing
little
that
bit.
well.
I mean, there's also another
No,
rod
give
on the
Silas
bench.
a party
right?
hat.
Yeah. I mean, you were hyping him up. I'm with you, man. I'm excited.
Give
That's
him
a lot
party
of
hat
rods
and an
for this,
archangel.
duelist comp.
Don't worry.
Party hat and an archangel.
Yeah. He's
Ningli,
going on an adventure.
I like it though. We're balancing things out. Karma is equalizing the top in our lobby. You know, Jisop, Ningli, they might be running into a little bit of trouble. This is definitely going to be a low roll from Ningli, and I think he might be considered rolling back into Reapers that at least has an AP out in the Silas and the Kindred.
Double's actually able to find a couple of wins here. See how long it's able to keep up as we enter into our next carousel. There's a Lilia, a Lee Sin, and there's also a Silas here for some important forward costs that might be able to give a little bit of a power spike here, especially because double 61 actually did have 1 Silas at least.
Yeah, he pairs the Silas. He gets a sword for the Shojin, which is kind of, I think, what he was looking for in this spot. So definitely a nice pickup for him to try and turn some things around since it wasn't going that well. I'm interested in Lee Sao as well, down on an 8 loss streak at this point. 50 gold, level 6. Scoreboard scrapping, though.
There is a lot of comeback potential, but I do feel like a lot of players are actually angled towards the Reaper line coming in here. We also have another Reaper player in the lobby potentially.
Well, he has the little buddy, so he's really hoping that like this Kayn is going to show up and stat. At the very least, maybe you just have this Lee Sin for now to be able to hold those items until you're able to get that primary carry.
Exactly. Those are not Lee Sin items at all, so he's definitely going to hard angle for Reapers. And I think Scoreboard Scrapper does fit a little bit better. You can use the AD and also the AP.
This is the epoch we expected from Dish Soap before he went into the Ash in that previous time when he qualified for the top 8. Finds a Lilia on 7 alongside a Nautilus, so pairing them up, it's perfect to try and be able to push to 8, roll down and hit it, because you definitely want to be able to push levels, try and go towards 9 with this composition, and Epoch helps you do that.
Just don't go bottom 2 is the name of the game for Dish.
Oh no. Gotta just say play for top 4.
Equal opportunity
okay,
cursing,
okay.
right?
Yeah,
If we're gonna curse double, we have to curse Dish Soap
Right.
as well.
Just don't go 8th, just don't go 7th, you know? No, you gotta look on the bright side. Play for those top 4s. Play for the wins.
So far, so good. He actually is going for a completely uncontested Lilia spot, so I don't think he can low roll that hard. He already he has the Nautilus. Hear me out. He has the Nautilus. He has the Lilia. Okay, it's
Yeah, you're right.
stage
No,
three.
you're right.
That's pretty high roll already.
It's great.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a very good spot. He still has Epoch, right? He's going to be getting more XP. He's going to be getting more rolls.
True.
Lots of ways to continue to improve the board. Golden Gala not going to throw any wrenches into his plans with the Prismatic, making things crazy. And counters over. Those can get things crazy.
Wait, we haven't seen stage 4 yet, so.
Lee Sao definitely angling for that Reapers right there.
Right, still can't find the cane though. That's why the Lee Sin is in there, just to be able to hold the items. And so yet to be able to actually roll down some of that gold. Staying at 50, that's so risky when he's already at the bottom of the lobby with 41 HP.
The cane might be fine, but I'm surprised he doesn't have like the Kindred or the Yone.
Yeah.
Those
Not holding
units, not naturally in them at all. And stage 3 is a little bit suspicious.
And Bintum
Nobody
is
else
just
have them,
blasting
really.
people, by the way, because of how tanky his board is due to the keepers with the Randuins. Nothing dies, so he's just hitting everyone for like 7 every single time. And he did see a little Lissandra pop up in the shop. We'll see if there's ability to go into that.
We have been seeing a lot of prismatic orbs from these lobbies.
True.
I'm not sure why, so it could be really fun. And Asta going for the Umbral Invoker line. It's been a while since we've taken a look at his line. This is also I would consider a tempo line. You really need to pop off on stage 4. It works well because you can fit 4 Umbral and 6 Umbral, 4
yeah.
Invoker
Yeah.
in on level 8. Excuse me.
It has a lot of gold though, so could be able to see those improvements very soon as Lee Cao now is actually going to start to roll down a little bit.
Found a pair
Finds
of
an
canes.
Exalted. There's the cane too.
Pair of canes.
Still missing the Kindred and the Kazakhs. Is he going to find any of them?
I mean, this is still looking like incredibly tough, and he only has 30 HP, no gold left. I mean, he's scoreboard scrapping, but he's scrapping the bottom of the barrel at this point. He's not really able to find too much.
Yeah, and he's also missing sustain items too. So unless he can find a good, maybe big grab bag to find the items he needs, or this is not gonna push through.
Yeah, I mean, he's got an augment selection and then an encounter, and he's able to find the win against Dish Soap, who is, down to 10 gold. He did roll down on 8, did not actually get the Lilia, but we do see a Rakan on the bench, so potential angles for Dish Soap to continue to improve the board even though he loses that fight.
It's a huge turn for all of these players. Let's see if Dish Soap can find something. Oh, reinforcements.
He re-rolled it, though.
Oh, okay.
He has not
Ooh.
higher.
Look at this though. Dr. O is actually finding a Reaper crest. Li Tuchuan finds the Ink Shadow crest as well. That's big for those traits.
Yeah, he could definitely go for the just 2 Ghostly and 7 Ink Shadow line. He's a little bit far off in terms of gold, but that's one of the cap-out boards to get a lot of points back.
Asta went 8, rolled very deep, did not hit Elune 2. Very tough spot for him, unless he was just able to grab it at the end. No, still on Elune 1. It's Dr. O, also just on a single cane, has not been able to make that a 2-star. So the canes contesting once again and just not finding that unit.
Our Reaper players. I mean, at least he's able to get 4 Reaper in, right? Like, that's still going to be pretty significant alongside the Reaper crest, but still, you got to find the rest of it.
Oh, and if we look here, we have 2 Nautilus 2s for Dish Soap, and he had reinforcements offered. It's interesting that...
Oh, that's from the...
oh, never
yeah,
mind.
it's fake, it's fake.
I got baited
Fraudulent.
by the Capricious gloves.
Yeah.
Capricious Forge.
Could you imagine a 3-star
That would've been
Nautilus?
sick.
Surely, right?
That would have ended the game so quickly.
On the spot. Yeah, it would have been done.
Just still in a very good spot right here. He just needs to, eliminate 2 players. Li Tuchuan is the one where we're looking if he can go up in the standings. Trickster glasses. This is actually great for Lee Sao, because all of your power is in the trait itself and not in the units. So typically, the best benefactor is going to be duelists.
Bad for me, just got baited by 1. Now there's 2 on every board.
Oh,
so
boy.
we'll see where we go from there. But as you said, right, it concentrated on units, had an item open on the cane as well, and I think that's going to be really helpful for these next 3 rounds to try and salvage some HP and find the rest of the board, but actually hitting the cane too. So that is a massive pickup for Lee Sao.
Definitely going to get him through stage 4, and the big worry here is just the sustain. If you can find the sustain, I think this board is already very much done, and honestly, Dr. O, I feel like he's going to have a hard time competing.
Oh, especially when you get the crash test dummies.
Ooh, Ningli, it's been a while since we've taken a good look at his board. It does look like he's still a ways off from that Tristana. Usually you want the Kiana, the Tristana, and the Volibear all at 3, but he's rolled all of his gold, and you know, at least 6 copies away on Trist, 4 away from Volley.
I would say he did not have enough candy, realistically, because he's been rolling all of that too much candy and not finding any of these pickups. He's not actually finding the 3 stars, so we'll see if Ningli can actually put it together, or if he kind of gets locked in too much candy jail, where you low roll and then now your reroll costs way too much and you actually can't ever put your board together.
That's a great point. You really need a hit at the start of the stage rather than later.
But there are a lot of players in this lobby that haven't hit. So it is buying some time for these players to have a little bit of breathing room to actually get the rest of their board.
All right, Rakan just kind of sitting on the carousel for a very long time. Dissoap had 1 copy already, but decides the glove is more important. Does have another glove open, so yeah, Thieves Gloves could call out.
Ooh, Lee Sal still doesn't have any way to get sustain onto his Cane. That was a big item he was looking for. Let's take a look at Double. We know he low rolled super hard, but it does look like he has to stick the line.
Yeah,
this is just a bleed out.
Hitting 2-star 4 cost on 6, and finally he's pushing up to 7. And even though he was stuck there, I guess he was just stuck econing. I guess he just hasn't been able to roll at all. He's just been econing, trying to get up to 7. Very far behind is Lilia 2, finally picked up by Dish Soap, but honestly, it's great. Going into stage 5, you'll have the Epoch come through, and you can start to try and make that push towards level 9.
I think we'll see our first check player coming out here. Dish Soap, this spot is unassailable. Compare that to Double on his board. He's still playing with, you know, the Channa 2 coming in.
Yeah, I guess the only downside for Dish Soap is you're stuck on just a guard breaker Lilia, right? You don't have the damage or the mana generation on that yet, and your open item components are not good for the unit. So
did I?
Yeah, we do see you kind of jinxing that there, saying Double was in the worst spot, which I agree is still not in a good spot, but he does beat Dish. I think the lack of items on this Lilia really shines through, and we're going to need to see these chickens provide for Dish Soap.
The mana regeneration missing is huge right here.
It's an Annie, though. That'll help out.
Sure does.
I can't believe he doesn't have a tier anywhere.
Yeah, not a single tier.
He did use it on the adaptive
early.
The early. You can play that on the Lilia, but ideally with 4 Invoker, you want the blue buff.
Yeah, now that Annie's holding it too, and without a remover, there's no way to actually get it off of her.
He needs the encounter that gives you either red buff or blue buff.
Oh, you guys are just gambling at it. You want the crab raves and
Red
the
or
trainer
blue.
sentinels, and always relying on encounters. Back in my day, we didn't have any of that.
It makes the game fun. Depending on who you
I'm
ask,
a bit of an
actually.
old-timer.
Li Tuchuan has finally gotten the Ghostly together. 4 Ghostly, 5 Ink Shadow ends up being the line here, playing around a Kaisa 1, but Haunted House able to get it done here. Takes the win over Double. Li Tuchuan, I still think, kind of in the position that looks maybe most likely to go 8th, with Li Xiao being able to pick up a lot more equity with the time bought by these Trickster classes.
Yeah, he's not in a great spot. Uncontested Kaisa just can't find it, and ideally he still wants to angle for the 7 Ink Shadow, even with the Haunted House. So he has a long way to go. Whenever someone is stuck on 8, you can't reasonably expect it to be a top 4.
Chickens, though. What you got?
Oh, we're going to need something big here. So Duelist already locked in here, but he's so far away from his
he had
costs.
nothing. What is going on?
What?
3 volleys away. 2 Kianas.
He only has 3 Tristanas in all of this.
Yeah. It's a lot of gold. He did end up selling quite a bit of that left side of the board. There's a Janna 2 rolling now.
A lot of low rolls this game. You know, a couple players already going out. Bintum, 4 lose streak, does not find any of those emblems that he needed to use. So, you know, I think this is unfortunate, but maybe not overtaking the points.
Ningli's free rolls are done. These cost 1, and he's not even close to hitting anything. He doesn't found anything at all.
Oh, I think I jinxed it really hard. This is the most low roll game we've seen so far. Ooh.
But it's kind of happening across the board. We're seeing a lot of players low
That's what
rolling.
I was saying earlier.
Ningli has been able to hold on to HP, so he's low rolled like crazy, but he's got 66 HP to work with when everyone else is 39 and down.
Everybody is holding down the fort together. I mean, we were talking about Crab Brave, and maybe it's just all the crabs in the bucket.
Yeah, but this is going to be a stage 5 bleed out from Ningli unless everyone has low rolled so hard that he's still winning with that duelist board.
Yeah.
Double 61. It looks like he's actually going to make it work. After that 3-2 roll down, I thought it was over for him. He was stuck beneath 10 gold, and maybe this gold
everybody
injection.
got some money.
Hello.
There we go. Hey, you
Well,
said you
thank
needed
you.
gold, and there's some gold. Make it happen. Everybody who was at 0, it's going to be so massive to have just a little bit more to try and hit these things that they've been missing.
How much gold
But
was that? 25
Lisao
apiece?
had 50 gold pushing towards level 9, and he just gets a huge injection from there.
I mean, that's a Kaisa too, with the Ink Shadow Crest of volley, thinking about it. Rolls for something better.
Can he find the Udyrs or the Sennas?
No, not able to get it.
He's just stuck rolling on 8. It's kind of the worst feeling you can find this set, and I don't think he has the front line either.
Yeah, the big thing I'm looking at now, though, Asta has kind of quietly fallen very low, and Asta needed a 6th or better to reach check.
Sure
Being at
did.
16 health here, in danger of falling before that cutoff. Only lost the last round. He's lost kind of win-loss in a lot of the rest of the game. Sichuan ends up going down, so at least the 8th is taken away. Opens the door. Asta just needs to be able to find one more placement, whereas all 3 doubles, Ningli and Dish Soap, just need a 7th or better, and they've got it. So we've got 3 players on check going into the next game.
At least 2 of them are going to make it through right here. Bintum, Asta, very low HP coming into this one. Let's take a look at Asta's board. He does go for the Aurelia, but this is a much weaker version of the Umbral board. You ideally want this board on your level 8 roll down, stage 4, not stage 5 going into this.
If he can outlive Bintum, he still checks, and that's all he needs. But if not, he'll be 1 point away.
Oh.
That is the worst feeling in the world in a checkmate format.
Asta has to win this next fight, but it's only an Udyr
double.
1 and a set 1, and it's up against double. Hits
He has
the
an Azir
Zyra
2?
3 and a Azir 2.
What? Where did that come from? He went to level 8, hit a Azir 2 when he had the Ornn frontline already. He low-rolled that early game so hard, he gets bailed out at the end stages, and now the
There's
frontline's
no
already
hope.
down. Asta not going to be able to get this. It's just the Alune, the Azir, and the Ornn still alive, and Asta going to be 1 point away from reaching check in this game.
Huge test to the mental here, and I just have to say, kids, if you're out there, remember if there's an encounter that has Carousel on it, 2-1, don't win streak, don't win streak. Big Gem is not worth it.
Bintum died here as well. So Asta just needed one more round and he would have got it.
That does mean we're going to have double Ningli and Dish Soap all in check,
they're all
though.
check.
Huge.
And now they just want to score more points to keep the other players off of check, keep them as low points as possible. And so for them, the best outcome is they go 1-2-3 in this game.
Well, Li Cao was the only other player that was close to being able to at least become within striking distance, had 11 points entering into this game. With a first place, would just be that 1 point away,
Yeah.
but still not at that bar.
Would be 2 players guaranteeing check going into game 6 as well.
Yeah. Could be in for the long haul, potentially.
Dish Soap's board is already very complete here. He's
He's
got
playing
the...
for Lilia 3.
Yeah, there's
why
no one
not?
stopping
He's
him. Asta's
painting
already
it.
out.
Nobody can stop him realistically. I mean, unless they can get him down before the next time he paints. He just has to find 1 copy. And his board looks very good. Epoch paying dividends once again. This time going up against Dr. O, and that's going to be kind of the low roll coming from this too much candy. And I think that the Lilia board is going to have a field day with this one.
We finally found the Volibear 3, but I don't think the party hat is unfortunately going to be enough.
No, and this is just an unfortunate situation. If you look at his 3 stars that he's supposed to be having, only 1 item's on each of them, so it's going to fall down even further. Dr. O also gets knocked out.
Lilia, he hit it.
No way.
He hit
No
it.
way.
He got it right away.
2 more combats. He should be able to survive by then.
Well, that's actually a good point that you call that out, though. He is 2 lives, so there is a world that he doesn't have time to paint it.
It's going to come down to positioning here. Lisa probably the most dangerous one to take a good chunk of HP off of Dish Soap. Let's see if he positions. He has the Everfrost, which is great against the Reapers.
Doesn't move it. Kept it central.
Kane on the right side. Kane could potentially walk down and end this.
But the Annie's in the right spot for the Kane because the Kane should walk back towards that Annie. That's exactly who you want tanking him very early on. But he does skip the rest of the front line, gets towards the Lilia, and this board is still just way too strong. Dishsoap's going to take a big hit. He's on 1 life. It's possible that Double on that win streak with the Azir 2 can also find the victory.
I really think he should have moved that Everfrost. Maybe didn't see it on the board right there, but, you know, prevent the worst case situation because every HP preservation is very important. Lisa was clearly the strongest board there.
Yeah, would have still helped with positioning for something like Ningli too. Ended up hitting him.
Ningli on the duelist. Let's see if he can fit everything, and the last item for the Volley Bear is going to be very important as well. Typically, we do see, with the death cap, I'm not even sure what the second item would be here with the best one.
Tough. Maybe like a Bloodthirster?
Oh,
Give it
epoch
a
rolls?
Oh, yeah, that's possible. Could still just find it naturally. Looks like not quite going to get there. Last few rolls. Just an extra item. And the hits on the Nautilus Capricious Forge, very bad for this fight. Not getting a lot of tanky stats. Gambler's Blade and Infinity Force.
Takes the Warmogs just to give the set a little bit of extra longevity.
This is going to be a huge round. If you can make it through, then that's guaranteed. Lilia 3. Who is it going to be? It can't be Lisa again.
Last second swap to get the Annie on the right side here, going up against Double. So this is going to be that Azir 2. If the front line can hold on, I think there's still enough damage to get through Double's board, but this is also an Ornn with some incredibly strong tanky items. Great Nautilus ulti coming through, being able to knock up the backline. It's just up to the Lilia, who's not able to get on to that Azir just yet. The Sylas in the backline, but he's walking back to the Annie. That last cast from Lilia almost does it, but doesn't quite get there. Dishsoap can't find the 3-star. He loses this fight, but he's still in check going into the next game.
Yeah, so it doesn't really matter in terms of the results because once you're in check, points don't really matter. You could take the championship even if you're lower points, but, you know, I wish he would have went out with a bit of style, with a bit of flair.
And also, I mean, each placement is still a lot of cash, so you do kind of want those points for the placements regardless on if you're able to find the win or not. So still, definitely looking to get as many of those points squirreled away as possible.
And this is amazing from Double 61. I thought he was dead in the water on stage 3 too. I'll be honest, everyone else was also rolling pretty hard.
Everyone low rolled, Double low rolled, especially hard early on, but I think him pushing levels instead of committing to the comp worked out, especially with having that Ornn to anchor around. And then, yes, he gets bailed out on level 8, finds the Azir, but, you know, kind of paying him back for the rough early game and then rewarding him for making the correct decision.
It does look like Ningli is going to be able to clean up into Double's backline here. I think he's playing the Ghost.
Kiana
gets the kick.
Whoa! The Azir! Oh, no!
God.
Ningli being able to hold on?
Tristana is stuck!
Oh, it's just Janna versus a couple of
soldiers. Janna's going to take everyone out.
No, I thought those soldiers were actually going to protect that Azir long enough that the Tristana is able to weave that damage back there.
That was such a roller coaster because his Lee Sin and Kiana got hit at the same time, instantly deleted. He still finds the win and stays in there. He was about to take off his headphones.
Yeah, he was ready to go. He's like, all right, I'm done. No, but he's still alive. And the big story left here is Lee Sao, as you were saying, Necro, right? Still can get just so close to striking distance of check that a first here would make you feel so much more comfortable going into the next game.
Yeah, then just an eighth would do it. You'd be okay.
Exactly. Yeah, an eighth would do it.
You'd be totally fine, but you would still have to make sure that you withstand through the rest of these 3 players that are at that check. But we have our final 3 still trying to determine the winner of this lobby.
Lee Sao has to do it in 1 strike. He has no sustain on this Kane. So Kane only has 1 life to make it through, but he instantly goes with the Volley Bear. There's no tankiness there, and Ningli cannot stand up, even with the triple 3 stars.
Yeah, good positioning, was not focused at all. Didn't even see the edge of night get popped in that fight. Able to find that win, so Lee Sao takes 1 down, and now it's just going to be about facing off against Double at the end here. Double, an absolute beast throughout this tournament. Highest scoring player on days 1 and 2. Coming into day 3, trying to continue that trend.
What is this scoreline from Double? 7-7 and at least a 7-point finish again. This is the most consistent player that I have ever seen and performing under so much pressure. Only him in this tournament left for EMEA.
But he can potentially bring it home.
That's
the
what
thing.
counts.
Yes, exactly. It only takes one. Double also had that Galio in the shop, able to upgrade that immediately to a Galio 2. Very happy to be able to move that into the front line. But, oh, comes down to whether these Reapers can actually do their job. Is this Azir going to have enough time?
Where is this Kayn going to be placed? That's the key thing here. He needs to find a flank, but you see Double is plugging the holes in front of that Azir, making sure the Kayn doesn't have an angle. And because this Kayn doesn't have a sustain, if he doesn't walk directly down, there's just no chance.
Yeah, gets stuck on the orange straight away. Does get the Edge of Night procced immediately by a cast from the Azir. We'll see where he walks. Does get to the back line. Does he go left or right? He goes right. Doesn't get to the Azir, but the Azir doesn't take him down.
Last hit!
Lee Sao gonna be able to take this win. Does it take Double out? It does not. Down to 1 life.
But are there any changes that actually help this outcome for Double?
Well, we're looking at the positioning right here. He had a 50-50 when the Kayn came down on the right side. So you can see he's stacking all of his units there. He realizes that he can get focus fire onto the Kayn, then it doesn't really matter. The Kayn only has Ghostly and the extra emblem from Heavenly as his sustain options. I would not say that really is that much. And this time, more importantly, Sunfire on the side of the Azir.
All right, let's see how this fight ends up this time. Once again, stuffing the Kayn right away. You have the Zyra focusing it instantly. That is still a lot of additional damage. They are going to change targets because of the Edge of Night, but Silas jumps out of range. Once again, the Kayn is focused. However, he gets onto the Azir. The cast comes out. It comes out too late. Lee Sao going to find the first, and now he is just 1 point away from check himself.